My name is Frederickson, 89.
Hometown?
Let's say hometown's Ada, Oklahoma. Well, there ain't much to tell about it. It's about 20,000 people, and we've lived here about 40 years. Well, I was born in an old sod house up on the Nebraska prairie in '34. And that's where I grew up. Cattle, and I grew up punching cows and breaking horses and hunting and fishing, and they drafted me. They come and got me. I had to report to the draft board in Valentine, Nebraska, so I drafted me, put me on a train, sent me to Omaha, Nebraska for induction, to get me ready for the Army. Was in boot camp 8 weeks, another 8 weeks, and then I was officially a soldier, supposed to be trained. In those days, only thing they wanted us for was to fight. They didn't care whether we had an education or not. When I was in the military, there was a lot of guys in there that never even had, and they never went to school, couldn't read or write. I didn't like it. I didn't want to be there, but I guess I had to, so I just done the best I could. No, there wasn't many fun moments. It was just, well, they trained us to kill people is what they done. They trained me for what they call a forward observer. But a forward observer is a person that you take your provisions, your rifle, ammunition, and you go out all alone. You find the enemy, and then you radio back where they're at, and then you got a bunch of stuff in front of you like a slide rule and all that, so you can determine where they're at, and you radio all that back to the battery where the guns are. They call it deflection correction. You move the round where it hit onto the enemy. You call it back. He's got a slide rule, you got a slide rule, and you know exactly where you're at. So that's what I was trained for. Oh yeah, I had a lot of friends in the military. We were all brothers in arms. Yeah, I had some special buddies. There's what they call a squad of 7 men. And there was people in there like Glenn St. Mary, Bussies, Woosner. I knew them all, of course, by name. They were close friends. I never got to go into combat. Every time we would get ready, they have what they call combat ready. So you get combat ready means that you got everything you need to go in to fight. And we would start in, and they'd stop and call a truce. That was in Korea. They'd call a truce. We'd back off and go back to camp. We done that, several times. Every time we'd go in, they'd call a truce. There was a 38th parallel, and they'd stop at the 38th parallel. The North Koreans, they could shoot at us all they wanted to, but they wouldn't let us shoot back at them when there was peacetime, when they called a truce. They wouldn't let us shoot back at them. Yeah, and they shoot at us, but we couldn't shoot at them. Didn't make much sense, but that's the Army for you. When my time was up, they gave me a physical, and then they discharged me in Fort Wadsworth in Staten Island, New York. The battery commander and first sergeant took me down to the gate of the military camp. There was a gate there and a big fence around it. They took me outside the gate. I was always saluting them all the way through the military. They saluted me, said, "Thank you for your service to your country." Gave me $90 mustering out pay, cash. Said, "Find your way home." and left me there. So I found my way home. I was always pretty athletic before I went into the military, and after I got out, I was never as healthy or the man that I was before I went in. Never could get that back. I'd do it again for my country. It probably was good for me. When they sent us to Omaha, Nebraska on the train, there was 13 of us going. We didn't know what we was getting into. But we were all poor boys. I mean, we were from a kind of poor families that didn't have much. And I guess that's the way it's always been. The rich man starts the war and sends a poor man to fight him.